Greetings and salutations, fellow Valorborn. Welcome to our next Dev Diary, talking about lore mainly. I wanted to do some fancy slides and whatnot, but I'm a little bit handicapped, so doing everything one-handed is a little bit difficult, and it's just Honor and I, so please be patient. Also, congratulations for the first wave of invites towards our test build and overall testing and bug squishing, so early access can be as smooth as possible when we launch it in the mid of April. With that said, big spoiler warning. I'm gonna try to be as spoilerless as possible in terms of explaining the lore and in which direction we're gonna go with the story and with the universe, playing around it. So be warned, there might be some major-ish spoilers in my delivery. So if you want to not have any spoilers, this is the moment where you cut off the video and say bye and leave a like and a comment for thank you, I'm hyped for the game. But if you want to get more information about what's kind of like the background story, what happens, where we at, and you know, get your foundations and your bearings, then stick with me. So, in the world of Valorborn, everything starts with wild humanoids, elves, orcs, and some other creatures we don't have yet decided yet what kind of names we will give them or how they should look like or create. But these kind of three major races you could think of. So humans, orcs, elves. All of that have been multiple kingdoms and multiple clans and tribes living in the wild, fighting off each other. Think of medieval or ancient bronze time, where there's a lot of tribes livings and not a real unification there. And at some point, and let's call it an angelic being appeared to the people of the island and of the landmass. We're not yet sure if it's going to be a big island or a landmass. More to that later. So an angelic being appeared, and that angelic being taught them how to work the lands, told them about mechanics, about all kinds of helpful tools in order to survive, in order to build houses, in order to draw water, and so on and so forth. And bit by bit, with that new technology and that new information, more and more of the clans flock together under one big banner. The whole kingdom back then, or the one big kingdom it was called the Empire of Valarion. Under that empire, and by this angelic-like being, they also learned how to worship it. And through worship and through meditation, it also bit by bit taught them how to manifest things out of thin air, aka how to use magic. And with time, and with the magic use, they also started to understand how to implement elements into it. So your typical elements like fire, wind, earth, water, and so on. Also up to how to deal maybe with a situation where a loved one might have passed away and prolong the life or bring them back, up to work accidents or fighting accidents where somebody might have lost a limb, to be able to regenerate and bring that back to make it functional and working. And with time, the kingdom of Valarion started to live in some sort of utopia. They had everything, and magic was taken over their daily chores. People were not going wood chopping anymore and work in the wood. They just magically imbued tools and other things to let that do their dirty work. And with time, the progress came to some sort of stagnation. People becoming lazy. Everything was taken over by magic. And at some point, people noticed that this overuse of magic is starting to show darker signs. Signs of corruption, plants withering away, regrown limbs. Bad things happening. Up to a point where the overuse of the magic in the kingdom of Valarion got sucked all into one specific area around the island or landmass, we don't know yet, and caused a magnificent, not magnificent, a magnifying, cataclysmic, magical surge that instantly ripped apart the grounds, ripped apart people, corrupted their flesh, turned them into disgusting beings. Even rifts in time and space appeared and ripped open, where different creatures flooded through, and basically the whole surge of magic that happened there, where once was bright and shining and beautiful and everlasting peace, and everything was like in a fairy tale, all turned dark in an instant. And that cataclysmic event has caused the kingdom of Valarion to shatter and to split again into various tribes and kingdoms. One of the kingdoms you're gonna play in is our starting kingdom, are the humans in the kingdom of Valarion. And they said that the use of magic is what led us here. We became overconfident. We have lost our skills and our traits by basically relying on that source and not doing it ourselves anymore. Ultimately, just calling magic bad for humanity. And such, the kingdom of Valarion has been crafted with some personality, some very characteristic persons that came through, and also the church or the belief of Auris has been crafted. Very zealous, very religious group who were strongly against magic and swaying the people that magic equals evil. Using it does not do good for you or for the world around you, and ultimately will turn into corruption and destruction. And they're also the first faction and the first group who were fighting and kind of like propaganding against the angelic being that came and brought them prosperity and magic. They're calling it evil, they're calling it bad, they're calling it a trick that has been played upon them. And such, in Theron, magic is banned. If they catch people who use it, they'll be hunted, they will execute it, and in most of the tales, never seen again if the zealots or Inquisition of Auris have put their hands on. With all the information that Valarion also had through the magic use and whatnot, they managed to imbue the magic essence, or imbue their clothings, their weapons, their cloaks, whatever, with, let's call it anti-magic runes. So they are the perfect magic hunters to go in there and hunt for beings that are of magic nature, English hunt sometimes, or also block anything magical out of territories by placing certain rune stones around the land. And Theron starts our story. Later on, when we are adding more and more content, more and more world, and more and more landmass and new factions, you'll be able to choose multiple starts. You'll be able to choose multiple factions to go against or play with. And also, when your character creation happens, you can decide between the race, you can decide between backgrounds, you can decide between different starting location. Overall, that sums it up. A huge empire that has been crafted thanks to an angelic being that came and taught them how to work the land, taught them about all kinds of physics, mechanics, and magic use. That led to a huge utopian world where everybody was living in peace and harmony, but the over-excess of magic used caused a cataclysmic event that just sucked out all life force, manipulated it, transformed it, made it evil, dark, weird, and left that big scar upon the land, reminding the people of what happened. If it was in the interest of the angelic being or not, if it was just the overuse and gluttony of the empire, or if there's something else behind it, that is for you to find out. And I hope I managed to not give too many hints, but I'm curious what kind of theories you are coming up with. And it kind of sums up our little lore journey. If you have any interesting theories or suspicions, speculations, I would love to see them in the comments down below or in our Discord. The next video will be going towards combat mechanics, how overall certain mechanics work in the game in terms of character progression, in terms of damage calculation. Also, a very often asked and requests feature being limp damage. I'm going to go into that also into detail to see what kind of direction we go, and maybe we'll find a cool communal idea for it, or situation, not situation, conclusion for it, in what way we want to go. Because we hear you. You guys definitely scream out there, we want limb damage. And we're thinking of ways to implement it that makes sense for our system. But we don't want to just basically copycat different games that have it and use it. So we want to find a unique way that makes sense within our system, that is fun, and also not only punishing, but have a way of, rewarding if it happens. We talk about it. Let's put it at that. And with that, dear Valorborn, this summarizes our little story direction, and I hope the drop of lore got you intrigued to find out more, to explore more, and to get an understanding. What happened to the kingdom of Valarion? What or who is that angelic being? Why is magic good or bad? And overall, giving you a playground to tell your own story within this world. Thanks a lot for watching. Big thank you from Honor and I for your support. And soon, you'll see both of us in the upcoming videos, but we're mostly busy making a smooth and flawless start into the early access. So big thanks to our testers. And if you are still interested, the application is still open. So we are going to invite in waves. But enough of that. Wish you a wonderful week. See you next Monday. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next. Ta-ta.